Okay, so ready to jump into some pretty crazy stuff happening in the music biz.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so we're talking about this whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing. Obviously, two of the biggest names in hip hop, but things have gotten really messy, like legally messy. We're talking defamation lawsuits, shady dealings with radio stations, even firings at Universal Music Group, their shared label. So yeah, we're going to deep dive into all that. We've got articles and all the juicy details. Basically, what happens when a record label's got two of their biggest stars at each other's throats.
Right, and it goes way beyond like the usual celeb gossip. This could actually change how labels and artists work together, like their whole relationship.
Exactly. We'll get into all that. But first, I guess for anyone who somehow hasn't heard of these two,
Mm-hmm.
they've been rivals for a while.
Yeah, it goes back like a decade at least. Back in the early 2010s, there was definitely a sense of competition. But it was more like friendly, right? They even did some collabs together back then. But recently, it's just gotten so much more intense.
Yeah, and like what really kicked things up a notch is this song, Not Like Us, by Kendrick Lamar.
Right. This is like the center of the whole legal battle. There are some lyrics in it that are, well, they're pretty direct accusations.
Yeah, calling Drake a certified pedophile and a predator, among other things.
Exactly. I mean, that's some serious stuff.
No kid. So, I mean, that kind of explains why Drake's lawyering up. He's filed two separate petitions, one in New York, one in Texas.
Yeah, and they're both targeting UMG, their shared label.
Which is kind of interesting because, okay, so in the New York petition, Drake's claiming that UMG was like artificially pumping up the popularity of this song. Not like us on streaming, but isn't that just like, standard marketing?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Like, where's the line between just promoting a song and what Drake seems to be saying is a deliberate smear campaign? Like, using this song to damage his reputation. And that's where the Texas petition comes in.
Right, the one about iHeartMedia.
Exactly. So Drake is accusing UMG of basically paying off iHeartMedia to give Not Like Us way more radio play than it would have gotten otherwise.
So he's saying they went above and beyond normal marketing.
Yeah, that seems to be the argument.
Wow. Okay, and what's UMG saying about all this?
Basically, they're denying everything. They've called the accusations offensive. Without merit, the usual.
Yeah.
But honestly, this could set a precedent for the whole industry. I mean, think about it. If Drake wins, labels might start putting all sorts of restrictions on their artists, like approved diss clauses in contracts, or even trying to censor lyrics that they think are too risky.
Yeah, it's wild to think about. Like, every verse could become a legal minefield.
Exactly.
And I don't know, it just blows my mind that these two were actually collaborators at one point.
I know, right?
To go from working together to this, it's crazy.
It's like some Shakespearean drama playing out.
Total drama. And now UMG is stuck in the middle trying to manage two of their biggest stars who are like at war.
Yeah, it really highlights how complicated these relationships can be. Like, a label is supposed to support their talent, right? But what happens when that talent becomes a liability? Even if they're still making tons of money, it's a tough spot to be in, for sure.
Yeah, it's a total tightrope walk. So, okay, bottom line, what can we learn from all this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious this is way more than just a rap beef.
Oh, absolutely. This could have huge implications for the music industry as a whole. Legally, financially, all of it.
Right? Like, it's not just about Drake and Kendrick anymore.
Nope, it really isn't.
So, yeah, I mean, a big question, I guess, is if you were calling the shots at UMG, how would you handle this? Like, is there even a way to make both artists happy while still, being ethical? And what happens to their careers after this whole thing?
Right, like, who even knows what's going to happen?
No kidding. Definitely something to think about.